What is the biggest problem in our life of faith? Think of the Israelites in the desert. So many of them worshipped a golden calf, thinking that God doesn't exist, even though God led them directly, with pillars of smoke and fire, and then they had real, substantial experiences of God's existence and God's work in their lives, as a people and personal, and they started to have a lot of complaints to Moses, that eventually Moses also got lost spiritually, and made some serious mistakes that allowed Satan to invade and work. We can spend 30 years in the Bible and in some Christian church, but if we make mistakes in controlling our spirit and emotions and instincts, even physical, we have nothing to do with God. Every day we have to check whether we are dominated and whether the center of our mind is our fallen, evil nature, or whether we have God and His ideal of creation as our center, and want to be guided by Him through His Word, living it and practicing it, and whether the center of our mind, heart and life is God. This is the most important thing in the faith and earthly life, and it is the best preparation for living in His spiritual kingdom, and not in a spiritual level where, however, Satan is present and creates problems for us. What kind of motivation we have in our faith journey is the biggest issue. Our motivation must be to prepare ourselves for eternity to live in God's world, the kingdom of heaven. That is our Canaan, at the end of this earthly spiritual wilderness where we live, where good and evil people are continually mixed. That is life here, the real hell for those who want to live a healthy life morally and spiritually. The real hell is in the spiritual desert of this fallen world, dominated by Satan. We have to live our life of faith to give rest and nourishment to our spirit, as we know how to do very well with our physical body. If we are focused on other things that do not make us joyful spiritually, we are like sand that the wind can carry away. This is the meaning of the Bible that says not to build a house on sand, but on the rock. The rock is our spirit and the three blessings, to be realized with God. In accordance with the ideal of creation, God seeks to have a mutual relationship with the man of faith at the level in which he is. That is why it is important to prepare and resurrect ourselves through the Bible, living it at the heart level spiritually. It is not easy to do this. It is a constant spiritual battle, with Satan constantly working to keep us separated from God, in ignorance, and also filling us with doubts that God exists, that He Himself exists. Satan and his negative spiritual world, made of angels and evil people who died before us, who can influence us in an evil way spiritually, are all there to give us wrong thoughts, pressure, stimulate our fallen nature through so many situations. So many evil people in society, in work, in school, in sports. But only with God can we overcome the fallen nature, and without looking backward in our life, but to be focused only ahead toward the future, to our life from here to eternity. We must not be like Lot's wife, who turned back to Sodom and Gomorrah and became a pillar of salt. If we regret the past or look back too much, we too can become a statue of salt spiritually. Our whole life, our determination, life purpose, is to meet and accept the returning Messiah and receive the blessing from God through him. Our past life has value only if we receive the blessing from God or not and keep it, without in turn eating the fruit of Adam and Eve's sin, without in turn breaking the commandment to not eat the fruit. The foundation of a life of faith is always the relationship between me and God, but we must also realize the three blessings, and therefore we must substantiate the life of faith in family life. Jesus risked his life, without denying his position and relationship with God. And in the end he was crucified. The biggest and most serious problem in our life of faith is earthly, is when we no longer feel that we belong to God's history through his lineage in us, and when we end up believing that we are a historical person, personally chosen by God, a historical person for God and for future generations, who will inherit for better or worse our historical merits or demerits.